Hi, Paul Nashawati coming to you live from the show floor at KubeCon Europe 2026. I'm here with Benjamin from Cycloid. Benjamin, how you doing?
Good. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on with me. This is really, really exciting. Platform engineering is really where the future is going. We know that there's a lot going on. Well, let's start right into some of the announcements. Let's talk about day zero and what was going on yesterday and today.
Yeah, I mean, what was really interesting yesterday is that there is a huge adoption of the concept of platform engineering, which wasn't the case like 1 year or even 2 years ago. Of course, there is some souls, right? But now there is anyone having some initiatives. Okay, how do I make this happen, right? I have a lot of initiatives that test and try different things, right? And now how I do make sure that I go into um, production layer, and that I would say 1 or 2 years ago, it was more like driven by the dev world,
Mhm.
that want to really improve the developer journey. And they saw that, okay, if I want to scale, I need to make sure that it also respects, DevOps and multi-cloud practices, and to make sure that there is also this topic, how I'm not locked to any kind of vendors,
Tech stacks, yeah.
and how I am as sovereign as possible, which clearly wasn't the topic, 6 months or 1 year ago,
Yeah.
for obvious reason that we know right now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, definitely, I think that the evolution of platform engineering has moved from a siloed approach, from a DevOps perspective, to a having app dev kind of being brought into the fold, and I think this is also heavily related to business KPIs or pivoting as well. The CI/CD pipeline is accelerated, the SDLC is accelerated, which means that platform engineering has to be accelerated as well. Would you agree with that? Or?
Yeah, definitely. What I was kind of really surprised about the conversation that we had yesterday, right, was about there wasn't like so tackling on AI, right? It's kind of okay. I really need to drive the collaboration between dev and DevOps, and how do I make sure that it's not only the platform team that designs some stuff that are used by the developer, but it's also how do I make sure that this developer that are kind of DevOps sensitive can also create and respect what we have done as a platform team, right? And this is kind of already the second step about adoption. Is not I build, you use, but I build for you, allowing you also to build and to use and to be completely independent, but you have to respect the governance of the IT organization, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, governance, compliance, and regulations is key for most organizations. So I think that's a big factor,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to releasing code and pushing things out the door. I think that you're spot on with regards to what I was finding in platform day yesterday. It was the need for a unified platform, but also have the kind of the same need that use your bespoke solution. So being able to have that collaboration between your own unique environment, but being able to collaborate across your ecosystem. That was kind of a theme that I was coming out of the event yesterday.
Yeah, definitely. Because we know that developer can't force IT teams to do the way of how they want. We
Mm-hmm.
know that it's IT, right? They, they won't maintain it. It will have to be maintained by the IT team, or by an external service provider. So they have to respect a certain canvas, right? Otherwise, it doesn't work, right? And I thought, like 1 year or 2 years ago, while we were at KubeCon, like in both in Europe or in US, there is this kind of okay, it's a dev topic, dev tool, and it will work, and
Yeah, very
it's
siloed.
siloed,
Yeah.
and we are agile, and we implement a lot of processes and way to do things, and we test and try until we succeed. But you don't test and try until you succeed on infrastructure layer, right? You have to succeed, otherwise there is trouble when you use it, right?
Definitely.
So
Yeah, definitely.
this is how it goes.
So let's talk about Cycloid. You had some announcements yesterday at day zero. So
Yeah,
what are some of the announcements?
I mean, on our side, so all about Cycloid is, our root is about GitOps by design, sovereignty with a focus on DevOps and multi-cloud. And we really made an evolution from shift left, right?
Mm-hmm.
Moving to more developer experience with everything around the stack versioning, the capability to have native Cycloid assistant and MCP server that we had released in beta uh, uh, 9 months ago, right? And now that has been a huge announcement. And the thing is, what is really interesting when it comes to MCP server and AI assistant within Cycloid is that now with the evolution of LLM, we are capable to create on the fly with the vibe coding that use developer every module that we have inside Cycloid, inside the workflow of anyone that use a vibe coding approach, right? Which is, for example, the stacks, the forms, the approval system, and the kind of collaboration aspect within the DevOps and the dev to make sure that at some point, you have more collaborative, because it's all about collaboration at the end. Even if you have a unified internal developer portal and platform, you need to make sure that there is a room for collaboration, as you said.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's definitely the key for pushing this out for regular governance and regulatory kind of situations. That makes a lot of sense. Collaboration across teams makes a lot of sense. Very much so. So, all right. So there's a lot going on here. The show's pretty busy. There's 13,000 of our closest friends here, so we know that there's a lot of interest in what we're talking about here. What do you want to get out of the show?
I mean, like the need of sovereignty, right? I think there is this need of sovereignty, and I hope on the topic of KubeCon, they will have a kind of understandable about the sustainability aspect, because I'm sure you are aware, like last week, the RAM took 30% increased cost, right? The capability to create some GPU took 200% cost with the crisis in Iran, right? So
Right.
sustainability is not a question only, okay, it's, somewhere, right? If it's continuing in such a way, and we see that US organization, government, is requesting that Europe have to sign the contract about buying some energy, the 750 billion revenue that comes to it, and that has been delayed for multiple political reasons. We have to understand that on the IT world, it has some impact, and we need to react on that, because obviously we can't continue like this, and the cost of ownership of all the tools that we are doing need to be understood, right? So obviously, not sure that KubeCon will, go on such a path, but yeah, I'm a strong believer that it will have to be understood by any IT leaders that, if I have to pay 10 times the cost of the IT team, I need to make sure that it's running well. With LLM, obviously, we need to make sure that it is sustainable.
Yeah, well, AI factories, the theme of the show, moving cloud native faster, is really kind of what's happening. So any final words you want to leave with the audience?
No, I mean, it's really interesting, like continue to have some initiatives with platform engineering, right? Because there is definitely a room to improve the developer experience and the operational efficiency. It should be something that has been worked, as a team, and we see more and more service provider that we are working on, big GSI MSPs that they can help this kind of organization moving to the IT transformation journey, right?
Yeah, looking forward to seeing what you take in the future. This is
Yeah.
great. Well, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you,
Paul
Paul.
Nashwati, coming to you live from the show floor at KubeCon Amsterdam 2026.